The church doors opened like a wound. Anaa stood at the altar in white lace, breathtaking and trembling, bouquet tight in her grip, not from love but from the satisfaction of revenge. She had sent him the invitation herself. Come watch me marry someone else, Kang Min-ho. Come watch everything you threw away walk down the aisle for another man. But the man who stepped through those doors was not broken. He was dressed in black, calm, dangerous, a ring glinting between his fingers like a quiet threat. And when his eyes found hers across that sacred room, something inside Anaa cracked open that had never fully closed. Welcome to AfroKorean romance, where love has no borders. If you believe in love, please like, share, and subscribe for more AfroKorean romance stories. 6 months earlier, Anaa had been sitting in the kitchen of her Lagos apartment, typing the most satisfying email of her life. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Anaa Osai and Mr. Daniel Adebio. She had added Minho's name to the guest list herself, personally, with her own perfectly manicured hand. She had even written a small note on his invitation: I hope you'll come, I want you to see what a real man looks like. Her best friend Temi had watched over her shoulder, jaw slack. Anaa, baby, you cannot send that man a wedding invitation like a weapon. Watch me. She had hit send before Temi could snatch the laptop. The thing about Kang Min-ho was that he had once been everything. 3 years ago, he had placed a ring on her finger in a Seoul restaurant, his dark eyes full of something she had believed was forever. He was powerful, the kind of powerful that made rooms go quiet when he walked in. The son of the Kang syndicate, feared across 3 continents, but to her he had simply been Minho. The man who remembered how she took her coffee. The man who called at midnight just to hear her breathe. Then his family had happened. His father's ultimatum: marry her and lose everything, or leave her and keep the empire. He had chosen the empire. Or so she believed. The following morning, Anaa woke to sunlight and the sound of Daniel humming in the kitchen. He was a good man, stable, kind, a Lagos architect with warm eyes and zero secrets, everything Minho was not. He made her feel safe in the way a calm sea felt safe. No storms, no danger. She told herself that was enough. You look tired, Daniel said, sliding a plate toward her. I'm fine, she smiled with her whole face. She had perfected that smile. Daniel kissed her forehead and said something about venue arrangements, and Anaa nodded along, but her mind kept drifting back to that email. Had Minho read it? Had he laughed? Had he felt anything at all? She hated that she still wondered. 3 years of silence. 3 years of building herself back up from the rubble of a love that had detonated without warning. She had moved back to Lagos. She had started her interior design firm. She had met Daniel at a gallery opening and let herself be chosen by someone who would not leave. She was over Kang Min-ho. She was absolutely, completely, entirely over him. Her phone buzzed. Message received, KMH. Just 4 letters, no other words, but her heart threw itself against her ribs like it was trying to escape. 2 weeks before the wedding, Lagos buzzed with a different kind of energy. Temi burst through Anaa's office door, breathless and wild-eyed. He's here. Anaa did not look up from her mood board. Who? Anaa, Kang Min-ho landed at Murtala Muhammad Airport this morning. My cousin saw him, he has people with him. The color pencil snapped in Anaa's hand. She breathed slowly. He's probably here for business. His business is your invitation. Temi. He brought 4 bodyguards, a private jet, and according to my cousin, who has zero reason to lie, he was asking about you. Anaa set down the broken pencil halves. He's not going to do anything. He's going to come to the wedding, watch me marry Daniel, and go back to Seoul where he belongs. But her hands were shaking. Later that evening she saw him. Not by accident. She had made the mistake of going to Temi's favorite restaurant on the island, and he was already there, seated at a corner table, dark suit, no tie, completely at ease in a room where everyone else seemed aware they were breathing the same air as something dangerous. He saw her the same moment she saw him. Neither of them moved. Then slowly, deliberately, Kang Min-ho stood. He was taller than she remembered, or perhaps she had simply spent 3 years shrinking him down to something manageable in her memory. He walked toward her with the kind of calm that only came from never doubting whether you belonged somewhere. Anaa. Her name in his mouth sounded like a language she had tried to forget. Minho, she kept her voice steady, a miracle. You look well, His eyes moved over her, not rudely but completely, the way a man looks when he is cataloging everything he has missed. "I am well," she said, "engaged, happy, getting married in 2 weeks." "I know." He reached into his jacket pocket and placed something on the table between them. Her original engagement ring, the one she had mailed back to Seoul 3 years ago with 0 words. "I came to return something that was never mine to keep," he said, "and to ask you something." "No," she said instantly. His mouth curved just slightly. "You don't know the question." "I know you, Minho, the answer is still no." She walked out before he could say another word, but her legs carried her on borrowed steadiness, and the moment she hit the night air, she pressed her back against the wall of the building and closed her eyes. Her heart was a disaster. The next day she made a mistake. She went back. She told herself it was because she had left her cardigan at Temmie's. She told herself many things, but when she arrived at the restaurant at the same evening hour and found him already seated at the same corner table, as though he had known, she sat down across from him without being invited. "You want to talk?" she said. "Talk." Minho studied her face for a long moment. "Why did you invite me?" "To see you lose." "You wanted me to suffer." "I wanted you to see me happy." "And are you?" She met his eyes. "Yes." He nodded slowly. He did not look away. "Your hands are shaking, Anaa." She placed them flat on the table. "I'm cold." He reached across and covered both her hands with one of his. Just that, no words, just warmth and the weight of 3 years pressing down on the space between them. She pulled her hands back. "Don't." "I made a mistake," he said, "the worst mistake of my life. I have known it every day since. You left Minho, you chose your family's empire over me. I was trying to protect you from my family." She laughed, a short, sharp sound. "Protect me? You protected me by disappearing." "My father threatened you, Anaa." His voice dropped low. "Not me, you. I left because staying meant he would have come after you. I chose distance over your danger." The restaurant noise continued around them, indifferent. Anaa stared at him. "You should have told me. You would not have let me go. That was my choice to make." Silence stretched between them, dense with everything that could not be undone. "I'm marrying Daniel," she finally said, "in 13 days. "I know." He reached into his jacket again, not for the ring this time, but for a folded piece of paper. He placed it on the table and did not explain it. He simply stood, buttoned his jacket, and looked at her with eyes that contained 3 years of the kind of wanting that does not expire. "Good night, Anaa." He left. She unfolded the paper with trembling fingers. It was a letter, handwritten, every line of it dated 1 per month for the last 36 months. 36 entries, 36 times he had picked up a pen and written to her without sending it. "January, I saw a fabric in a Myeongdong market, the exact color you wore the night I proposed. I walked past it 3 times. April, my father is sick. I find I cannot feel what I am supposed to feel. I find I only think of you. September, I had a dream you were laughing. I woke up and the apartment was so quiet." She read every word, twice. Then she folded it back up and went home to the man she was going to marry. 4 days before the wedding, Daniel noticed. Not dramatically, not with accusations. He simply set his fork down at dinner and looked at her with those warm, uncomplicated eyes and said, "Your ex is in Lagos, isn't he?" Anaa set her own fork down. "Yes." "Did you meet him?" A pause, briefly. Daniel was quiet for a moment. "Do you still love him?" "No," she said, too fast maybe. "I love you." He nodded. He reached across and took her hand and she let him. His grip was gentle, safe, everything she had chosen. "I believe you," he said, but something in his voice had shifted. Like a key turned the wrong direction. That night, Anaa lay awake staring at the ceiling with the letter folded inside her bedside drawer and a feeling in her chest she could not name pressing down like a stone. The following morning, she went to Minho's hotel. She did not question herself. She simply went, walked through the marble lobby, told the front desk she was there to see Mr. Kang and was escorted to the top floor before she could change her mind. He opened the door himself. He was still in a dark shirt, sleeves rolled back, and for a disorienting moment he simply looked at her as though he had been waiting. "Why didn't you tell me about your father's threat?" she demanded, walking past him into the suite. He closed the door quietly. Come in. I'm already in, answer me. He turned to face her. Because the moment I told you you would have stayed, you would have fought alongside me and my father would have destroyed you, Anaa. He had the resources and the cruelty to do it. And you thought disappearing was kinder. I thought it would keep you breathing. She turned away, pressing her fingers to her mouth. The suite was understated but expensive, Lagos skyline through floor-to-ceiling glass, city lights spilling gold across the floor. 3 years, Minho. I know. I rebuilt my entire life. I know, his voice was low and close, she had not heard him move. And you did it brilliantly, you always were the strongest person in any room. She turned and found him closer than she expected, and the air between them changed. I am marrying Daniel on Saturday, she whispered. You came here, he said, not to him, to me this morning. I came for answers. You came because you are not done with me any more than I am done with you. His eyes were quiet, steady, devastating. I am not asking you to leave him, I am asking you to be honest with yourself at least. She held his gaze for a long, unraveling moment. Then she stepped back. I need to go. Anaa. She was already at the door. I came with a ring, he said to her back. Not to the wedding, here now, I have had it for 3 years. Her hand froze on the door handle. I am not telling you to throw away your life for me. I am telling you that if you walk out of that church on Saturday and choose him with your whole heart, then I will go. I will leave Lagos and I will never contact you again. But if there is any part of you that is not sure. She walked out. She stood in the elevator all the way to the lobby with her eyes closed and her hand pressed flat against her chest where something was beating too loud to ignore. 2 days before the wedding, the rehearsal dinner was held at a waterfront venue, string lights, laughter, family. Minho was not there. And yet Anaa felt him everywhere. Temi leaned close halfway through the evening. He sensed something. What? Temi slid a small box across the table. No card, just the box. Inside was a bracelet, rose gold, the kind she had admired once in a soul shop window and mentioned only once in passing 3 years ago. He had remembered. She closed the box. He is not playing fair, Temi whispered. He never did. Daniel appeared at her side then, warm and present and real, slipping an arm around her waist. He kissed her temple. You okay? She leaned into him, perfect. But her hand was closed tight around the small box under the table. The night before the wedding, Lagos exhaled rain. Anaa sat alone on her apartment balcony, the rehearsal dinner long over, Temi asleep in the guest room, Daniel at his own family's house following tradition. The rain came in soft curtains off the Atlantic, and she had the bracelet on her wrist just to feel it, she told herself, just for tonight. Her phone rang. Minho. She answered before the second ring, hatting herself. You shouldn't call, she said. I know, a pause, rain on his end too. He was somewhere in this same city under this same sky. Are you sleeping? No. Neither am I, another pause. I just needed to hear your voice, that's all. I won't say anything else, you can hang up. She did not hang up. They sat in silence for almost 4 minutes, she counted, with nothing between them but breathing and rain and the specific gravity of everything unsaid. It was the most intimate 4 minutes she could remember in years. Minho. Why did you really come? A beat, because I would rather watch you choose someone else with my own eyes than spend the rest of my life wondering if you would have chosen me. The rain fell harder. Go to sleep, she whispered finally. I'll see you tomorrow. She ended the call. She sat in the rain a moment longer before going inside. She did not sleep. The wedding morning arrived bright and merciless, Lagos sky scrubbed clean by the night's rain. Anaa was dressed by 10. The gown was extraordinary, ivory and champagne, cut for curves, trailing behind her like something dreamed. Her mother cried. Temi fixed her veil with shaking hands and said nothing for once, which was how Anaa knew her best friend was genuinely afraid for her. You don't have to do anything you're not ready for, Temi said quietly. I'm ready, Anaa said. She looked at herself in the mirror, beautiful, composed, terrified. The church was 40 minutes away. She got in the car. The church was full when she arrived. 200 guests, flowers everywhere, Daniel standing at the altar looking at the door with nervous, hopeful eyes. He was handsome, he was good, he loved her without complication. And in the fourth row on the left, in a black suit that had no business being at a wedding because it belonged on a man preparing for a reckoning, sat Kang Min-ho. He was not looking at Daniel. He was looking at the door. He was looking at her. Anaa felt the breath leave her body. She had wanted him to come so she could watch him hurt. But standing in the back of the church in ivory lace with his eyes on her, dark, steady, containing entire oceans, she realized she had wanted him to come because some part of her had never stopped needing him to show up. The wedding march began. She started walking. 50 steps from the altar. She counted. 40. Minho sat perfectly still, but his eyes tracked every step she took. She could feel them like a hand at the small of her back, like something guiding and breaking her simultaneously. 30. Daniel smiled that open, uncomplicated smile. Good man, safe man. 20. Minho reached into his jacket and placed something on his knee. She could not see it clearly from this distance, but she knew. The ring. 10 steps from the altar, the pastor said, "Who gives this woman?" Anaa stopped walking. The church went very, very quiet. Daniel's smile flickered. Anaa. She turned her head and looked directly at Kang Min-ho for the first time since she had walked through those doors. He did not stand, he did not speak. He simply looked at her with that quiet, devastating calm, ring in his fingers, 3 years of letters in her memory, 4 minutes of rain-soaked silence on her phone, and waited. Just waited. As though he had all the time in the world, as though he had already decided she was worth it regardless of the outcome. Anaa turned back to Daniel. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice carried in the silence, "I'm so sorry." It was not dramatic, it was not loud, that was somehow worse. Daniel looked at her for a long moment, he looked at the fourth row, he looked back at her, and his eyes said what his mouth did not. "I know, I think I knew." "Go," he said quietly, "it's okay." It was not okay, she knew that. She would carry the weight of that moment for a long time, but he said it and he meant it, and that was its own kind of love, the kind that releases. Anaa handed her bouquet to Temi, who caught it automatically with both hands and the expression of a woman who was going to have very strong opinions about this later. She turned and walked back up the aisle. Minho met her before she reached the door. He said nothing. He took her hand with the ring still in his fingers and walked her outside into the Lagos morning. The sun hit her like a verdict. Outside the church, away from 200 witnesses, Minho stopped. He faced her. His composure had not changed, still calm, still steady, but his eyes were burning. "Before you say anything," Anaa said. "I won't say anything," he said. "I didn't leave for you, I left because I couldn't." "Anaa, I need you to understand." "I understand," he stepped closer. "I understand that you are standing here in a wedding dress outside a church you just walked out of, and you are trying to make sure I know this wasn't about me. It wasn't only about you. I know." His hand came up slowly, giving her every chance to step back. When she didn't, he tucked a loose braid behind her ear. "I know." Her jaw trembled, she locked it. "You hurt me," she said. "What you did, leaving without explanation, it broke something in me. I built myself back, but the break happened, and I need you to know that before anything else." "I know that too," he said, "and I will spend as long as you give me making sure you know it will never happen again." She looked at him, at the ring still in his hand. "That's dramatic," she said. "We haven't even been in the same city for a week." "I have been in love with you for 4 years," he said. "I think I have earned dramatic." Despite everything, despite the dress and the ruined wedding and the 200 people still sitting in confused silence behind those doors, something moved through Anaa like light through water. She laughed, soft and broken and real. 2 days later, Minho's past arrived in Lagos with guns. Anaa was at Temi's house when it happened, still processing the wreckage of her wedding and fielding calls from her mother, who was rotating between prayer and commentary. She had not yet answered Minho's 17 texts, which felt safer. Then Temi's gate burst open, and 2 men Anaa did not recognize grabbed Temi by the arm. "We don't want the other one," one of them said. "We want the woman who left the wedding, she's coming with us." Anaa did not scream. She had been raised in a house that believed screaming was wasted energy. She reached for her phone. They took it. She was put in a car before she could think clearly. Minho's phone rang at 11:42 a.m. He did not recognize the number. He answered anyway. Your woman is with us. The voice was calm, professional. That was what made it dangerous. Kwon sends his regards. Kwon, Minho's jaw tightened. Kwon Seung-tae, his father's old lieutenant, the man who had spent 3 years trying to take over the Kang operation while Minho had been keeping his head down. The man who had threatened Anaa 3 years ago. The man who had just made the last mistake of his life. Minho put the phone down slowly. He turned to his head of security, a quiet man named Yi who had been with him since Seoul. Find her, Minho said quietly, every resource now. Yi was already on the phone before Minho finished the sentence. They had put her in a warehouse by the waterfront, Lagos. Still, she could tell by the sounds and the saltan diesel smell of the water. She was not tied. They were not stupid enough to tie her because a woman with her hands free thinks more slowly about the walls. They simply put 2 men on the door and waited. Anaa sat on a crate and assessed. 2 guards, one with his back mostly to her, one window painted over but the paint was old. Her heels were 4 inches and solid, which was information. She was scared. She was absolutely legitimately scared, but fear, her mother had always said, was just information. It told you the stakes. It did not tell you to sit still. She was working out the angles when her phone, which a guard had carelessly set on a shelf, buzzed. She did not look at it, but she counted the seconds until the guard looked away. Minho located the warehouse in 47 minutes. Later, Anaa would ask him how, and he would only say resources, which was simultaneously unsatisfying and deeply telling. He did not call the Lagos police. He did not negotiate. He sent Yi and 4 others in through the loading entrance and walked through the front door himself. He walked through the front door of a warehouse where armed men were waiting because he needed them to see his face. He needed them to report back to Kwon exactly who had come for her. The message was not violence. The message was certainty. There is no version of this where she does not come home. The guards saw his face and, to their credit, understood immediately. When the warehouse door opened, Anaa was holding a broken piece of wood she had peeled from the crate, not a great weapon but a committed one. Minho walked in and stopped. He looked at the wood in her hand. He looked at the guard on the floor who Anaa had apparently struck with her heel in the seconds before his team had come through. He looked at Anaa. Were you about to fight your way out? He asked. I was in the middle of fighting my way out, she corrected. Something moved across his face, pride, she thought. She had never seen that exact expression on him before, and it undid her more than fear had. She lowered the wood. He crossed the floor in 4 steps and put his arms around her, pulling her against him, not gently, not with the careful restraint he had maintained all week, but completely, like a man who has just been returned something irreplaceable. She let him. She pressed her face against his shoulder and felt the adrenaline crash through her all at once, and she breathed in the smell of him, cedar and something warmer, and kept breathing until her hands stopped shaking. I had it, she said into his shoulder. I know you did, he said into her hair. They drove back across Lagos as evening came in gold and rose, Anaa in the back seat with Minho beside her, neither of them speaking. His hand was closed over hers on the seat between them. She did not pull away. At Temmie's, where Temmie had already called everyone and made tea and was vibrating with the particular energy of someone who has been terrified, and is now converting that terror into noise, Minho waited outside while Anaa changed out of the dress. She had never changed out of the wedding dress. She had been kidnapped in a wedding dress, which was going in a category of experiences she planned to never repeat. She emerged in Temmie's borrowed clothes, oversized, comfortable herself again. Minho was leaning against the wall outside. He straightened when he saw her. Are you all right? He asked. I will be, she looked at him. You walked in through the front door. Yes. That was reckless. Probably. Why? He looked at her steadily. Because I wanted them to know there was no world in which I would not come for you, not a locked door, not a gun, not geography, a pause, not 3 years. Anaa's throat tightened. I am still angry with you, she said. I know. And I just walked out of my own wedding. I know. This is a complete disaster. Yes, his expression didn't shift. Do you want me to leave? A beat. No, she said. 3 days later, Lagos had returned mostly to its usual rhythm. Anaa had spoken to Daniel, a quiet, painful, honest conversation over coffee where he said I wanted to make you happy and she said you did, you just couldn't make me whole, and they parted with the complicated tenderness of two people who genuinely wished each other well. She had spoken to her mother, which was a longer and more operatic process involving prayer, a brief history of every decision Anaa had ever made, and eventually, reluctantly, love. She had not spoken to Minho about the ring. He had not brought it up. They had instead spent 3 days doing something Anaa had not expected, simply being in each other's company. He took her to a small waterfront restaurant. She took him to her favorite bookshop on the island. He sat in a chair while she talked to a client about tiles and did not look bored once. She watched him on the phone in 3 languages handling something in Seoul and thought I forgot this about him, that he carries entire worlds and makes it look like nothing. On the evening of the 3rd day, they were on her apartment balcony again, rain threatening again, the air heavy and salt-scented. I want to explain the ring, he said. She turned to look at him. I had it made the month after I left you, he said. Different from the first one, I did not want to give you back what we had. I wanted to give you something I chose specifically for who we were going to become. He paused. I have been carrying it for 35 months. I took it out of my pocket in the church because I needed you to see that I came prepared for this, not to disrupt your life, just, he stopped, to make sure you knew the option existed. The option, she repeated. Of choosing me, of letting me choose you, properly this time, without running, without hiding the reasons. She looked at his face, the face she had spent 3 years trying to forget and 3 years failing, and she thought about the letter. 36 months of dates and aches written by hand. She thought about the warehouse, about walking through the front door. She thought about 4 minutes of rain-soaked silence on a phone. You've thought about this a lot, she said. Every day. Minho, she turned to face him fully. If I say yes and I'm not saying yes yet, I'm establishing a hypothetical. Understood. You don't get to disappear again for any reason, under any threat. We face things together or not at all. Together, he said, no hesitation. And you have to tell me things, dangerous things, family things, business things, no more protecting me from information I deserve to have. I will tell you everything, he said. I have wanted someone to tell things to for 3 years. She looked at him for a long moment. I'm not saying yes yet, she said again. I know. But she extended her left hand. He placed the ring on her finger so carefully it barely felt like weight, rose gold, a deep violet stone at the center, nothing like the first one, everything like them. Her breath caught. It's beautiful, she whispered. You are beautiful, he said simply, the way he said most important things without performance, just fact. The rain began. They stayed on the balcony anyway. A month later, Kang Min-ho stood in a Lagos courtroom and provided testimony that dismantled the remnants of Kwon Seung-tae's operation across 4 countries. It was the kind of testimony that cost him his anonymity and gained him something else, the ability to walk into a room without looking over his shoulder. Anaa sat in the 3rd row. She wore a yellow dress that she'd bought the day before because Minho's eyes did something particular when she wore yellow, and she was slowly, deliberately, joyfully learning to use that information. After, on the courthouse steps, he came to her with his jacket over his arm and the first completely unguarded expression she had ever seen on him, relief, exhaustion, and something luminous underneath both. Is it done? She asked. It's done. She straightened his collar. He watched her hands while she did it. I have something to tell you, she said. He went very still. We have a doctor's appointment Thursday, she said. I need you to be available. His stillness deepened into something else entirely. Anaa. The hypothetical became a yes about 3 weeks ago, she said. Some other things became yes around the same time. Minho looked at her for a long, arrested moment, and then, quietly, completely, the composure broke, not into pieces but into something warmer. His hand came to her face. He pressed his forehead to hers. You are going to tell me, he said quietly, that the most frightening and most extraordinary thing that has ever happened to me is happening, she confirmed. Yes. The Lagos sky was brilliant above them. Traffic roared somewhere below the courthouse steps. His hand curved against her jaw and she closed her eyes and he whispered something in Korean she had not yet learned, but she understood it perfectly, the way you understand things that are spoken directly into the part of you that was waiting. The second wedding was small. 40 people, a garden in Seoul, Minho's city, her new city, their city. Temi was the maid of honor and cried before the ceremony started, which she later categorically denied. Anaa's mother sat in the front row and held her handbag with the solemnity of someone who had accepted this outcome and decided to be gracious about it. Minho stood at the garden arch in white, her idea, her small, private triumph, and watched her walk toward him with an expression that required no translation. She reached him, he took both her hands. Still angry, he murmured. Getting there, she said. The officiant cleared her throat. They said their vows simply, without theatrics. His in Korean, hers in Twi, both in English. The garden smelled of jasmine and turned earth. When it was done and his hands held her face and the 40 people around them dissolved into something peripheral and soft, Anaa felt the last closed door in her chest swing open, not dramatically, not all at once, but with the quiet certainty of something that had always been waiting for the right key. She pulled back slightly to look at him, the ring on her finger, his eyes on her face. Thursday's appointment, she said, the doctor confirmed 12 weeks. His hands tightened against her face. We're having a girl, she added. Kang Min-ho, who had walked through the front doors of warehouses and testified against crime syndicates and carried a ring in his jacket for 35 months, put his forehead against hers and said nothing for a moment. Then she will be terrifying. Anaa laughed, she will be extraordinary. Both, he said, like her mother. And the garden filled with the sound of people who had gathered to witness love choosing itself again after everything and finding that it still held.